Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki, Gaur Premanandi. Verse number. 10, 16, 52?
52, 53, 54.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamati Rayat. So there's no purport for several verses. I'm just going to read the translation, if that's okay. And then maybe we'll stop with verse number 56. There's a very short purport. Translation. This is 10:16:52. 10:16:52. Oh, Supreme Lord, please be merciful. It is proper for the saintly to feel compassion for women like us. This serpent is about to give up his life. Please give back our husband, who is our life and soul. 53. Now, please tell us, your maid servants, what we should do. Certainly anyone who faithfully executes your order is automatically freed from all fear. Purport. The surrender of Kaliya's wives was now complete, and Lord Krishna immediately gave them his mercy as described in the following verses. Text 54. Shukadeva Goswami said, thus praised by the Nagapatnis, the Supreme Personality of God had released the serpent Kaliya, who had fallen unconscious, his heads battered by the striking of the Lord's lotus feet. Purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Lord Krishna, upon reaching his decision, immediately jumped down from Kaliya's hoods and stood before the serpent and his wives. We should remember that when Lord Krishna executed these pastimes, he was just a young village boy in Vrindavan. Text 55. Kaliya slowly regained his vital force and sensory functions. Then, breathing loudly and painfully, the poor serpent addressed Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, in humble submission. So now we can chant together text 56. Kalya uvacha Mayam kala saho patya Tamasad dirga manyava Swabhavo dushit jo nata Lokanam yad asad graha Mayam kala sahot patya Tamasad dirga manyava Swabhavo dushito nata Lokan yad asad graha. The serpent Kaliya said, our very birth as a snake has made us envious, ignorant, and constantly angry. Oh my Lord, it is difficult for people to give up their conditioned nature by which they identify with that which is unreal purport. Srila Sanatana Goswami points out that because of his wretched condition, Kali was unable to compose original prayers to the Lord, and thus he paraphrased some of the prayers offered by his wives. The word asat graha indicates that a conditioned soul seizes upon impermanent and impure things, such as his own body, the bodies of others, and other countless varieties of material sense objects. The ultimate result of such material attachment is frustration, disappointment, and anguish, a fact that has now become crystal clear to the poor serpent Kaliya. Celebrated pastime. About 2 weeks ago, we spent a fair amount of time discussing this pastime. At least there are different sections. Like this is starting a new section. This is the wives of the Kaliya serpent offered extensive prayers, fantastic prayers, and I'll summarize those prayers, the messages within those prayers. And then they became silent, taking the cue, because this is the pastime that Krishna had planned before it happened, and he knew how it was going to proceed, and so he jumped down from the hoods of the Kaliya serpent and stood before the wives and Kaliya. And then Kaliya is starting to regain his sensibilities enough so he can speak. Now, what serpent speaks? And for that matter, how is an artist to depict the wives of Kaliya? In many cases, the artists depict, they have the upper part of their torso is female, human, and the lower part of their torso is a serpent. What they actually look like, who knows? But they spoke, and now he's going to speak. Go way back to the very beginning of this chapter. It's a long chapter, but Krishna had a plan from the get-go, from the beginning of the chapter. And it goes like this. This is just like a little mini summary of the chapter. Krishna knew, because he's omniscient, that there's a portion of the river Jamuna that's super toxic poison. And he had determined in the morning that he wanted to relieve the Jamuna from this toxicity. And he knew the source of it was Kaliya. The next chapter, 17, describes how he got there, and the history of who he was and how he got to be in the river Jamuna. That's another class we'll discuss. So there's the flow of the chapter. Krishna had a plan, and part of the plan was that Balaram wouldn't be there that morning. The reason Balaram wasn't there that morning was Rohini wanted to honor his birthday. The detail is, it wasn't Balaram Jayanti or Purnima. It was when the moon moves through the nakshatra, the constellation of stars, once a month, and Rohini wanted to have a festival in honor of her son. So she requested him, and he obliged to stay behind. There was a purpose. So Krishna picked the day when Balaram wouldn't be there, because he was engaged in a program with his mother and the others. The reason that Krishna wanted him to not be present was two things. It would have spoiled the whole pastime if he was there, because Balaram is Bala, he's very strong, and he would have prevented the pastime from happening. The second reason was when the residents of Vrindavan found out, he would be there to stop them from entering into the river Jamuna and dying from the poisoned water. Which he did both. So Balaram wasn't there. And it's the summer season, and it's hot in Phoenix in summer. It's blazing hot in Vrindavan in the summer. Winters get cold, but the summers get blazing hot. So it was a very hot summer, and the cows and the cowherd boys went out the gate heading for their activities for the day without Balaram. And because it was so hot, the cows had become thirsty, and when they passed near the river Yamuna, the cows knew we're near the river Yamuna, and they went and started drinking water from the wrong place. And so they died. And when the cowherd boys caught up and saw dead cows all around the side of the river Jamuna, because the way it's described, as Krishna is their life and soul, the cows are also their life and soul. And so they entered into the river Yamuna, unable to continue living because the cows had died by entering into the river. Krishna came third, because that's part of the pastime. And Krishna saw the scene. Of course, he's omniscient, so he knew what was going on because it was orchestrated. But because the cow and the cowherd boys are the life of soul of Krishna, he experienced this chapter is rasa filled like anything. So he experienced adbhuta rasa. Cowherd boys are dead. That's it. His pastimes are rasa filled, and this one is really rasa filled. So what did he do? He just glanced over the cowherd boys and the cows, and they came back to life. Some renderings say they fainted or they became unconscious from the poison. Some say they died. The verse correctly says when they came back to life, they looked around and saw each other and said, how does this happen? We were dead. We were brought back to life. It must be this mysterious Krishna. He has these abilities to do these things. In fact, he had just recently done it with the Aghasura. Okay, so then the purpose that Krishna wanted to fulfill was awaiting. That is, rid the river Jamuna of Kaliya's presence. So he did it in a really grand way. He climbed up a Kadamba tree, way up on the branch of the Kadamba tree, and jumped from the branch of the Kadamba tree into the river Jamuna, the poisoned lake. There's details and details about how's there a lake in the middle of a river, because lakes generally are not in the middle of a river. Without all the details of how that happened, because it's described. Kaliya had a mystic power. I think one of those mystic powers was Jala Stamba. Jala Stamba, Stamba like, the Garuda Stamba, column. He had this capacity to use water to make structures. So he created a palace for himself in the water. Now it doesn't describe what that is. It's a water palace, but with structure other than just the flowing of water. So what happened was, according to the commentaries, the water had stopped. There was a lake within a river, 8 miles long, and so for that reason, that a long duration of time, Kaliya being poisonous was there. That lake became poison-filled. Very, very, very severe, very severe. Birds flying over would fall into the lake dead because of the fumes coming up, toxic fumes, what to speak of the water itself. So anyway, Krishna jumped into the lake. Big splash, not just splash, purposefully, waves that washed up so many bow links onto the shore, and the vegetation, because Krishna had touched the water, the vegetation didn't die. This becomes important later. But, big waves. And then not only that, but Krishna started splashing around, purposely, with his arms, making more waves and lots of noise. And down beneath, the envious Kaliya heard all this commotion going on upstairs. What's going on? Who has entered my lake? Because he's envious. So he surfaced, and he saw this little boy. And he started to attack the little boy. This and that and the other thing and the other thing, and he bit Krishna in the chest. He had 100 hoods. He was an interesting looking serpent. Many things happened. Krishna purposefully allowed himself to be captured by Kaliya and placed in the coils of Kaliya. And then this series of the other rasas became stimulated by the pastime. So, when the cowherd boys saw Krishna in that condition, they fainted again. And then messenger went all the way from the lake, or from the river Jamuna, all the way to the residence of Nanda and Yashoda. For those of you that know geography in Vrindavan a little bit, it's a long distance, quite a distance. But they ran, they informed, and then as soon as they informed, the whole, not just Nanda and Yashoda, but the whole village came running, because Krishna, our life and soul, he's in the coils of the Kali serpent. Oh no! It's another emotion with Krishna at the center. And when they got there and they saw Krishna in the coils of the Kali serpent, they wanted to enter into the water to rescue Krishna. And Balaram stopped them. The Balaram was just smiling. He knew what Krishna was doing. He stopped them. He just put up his hand up and said, stop. So, because he's powerful, they stopped. So there's the scene. For one muhurta, for 48 minutes, Krishna's in the coils of the Kali serpent. And the Kali is big, and Krishna's small. You know, a big serpent. So then it did not stop. And as Krishna saw their distress, he decided to escape the coils of the Kali serpent. So he made himself big and big and big and big, and Kali expanded his body big and big, and then Krishna became very small and slipped out. And when he slipped out, Kali is still lying to bite him. So Krishna started swimming around and around and around and around and around and around so fast, that Kali got dizzy. And Krishna took that as an opportunity to lift himself up on the hoods of the Kali, because it said Kali had shoulders, his hoods, and then just below his hoods, some shoulders. Doesn't describe where they are. And he, by lifting himself on the shoulders of Kali, he landed on his head. And he started dancing. The dancing was purposeful. In many ways, there was like this elaborate description of the mercy that Krishna was giving by placing the dust of his lotus feet on the heads of the Kali serpent. But it wasn't just dust. Krishna was dancing and dancing and dancing and dancing and dancing. And Kali would raise a hood to try to bite Krishna with one of his hoods, and Krishna would smash it with it, because Krishna has the ability to make himself unlimitedly heavy. So he smashed the hoods of the Kali serpent so badly that blood was coming from his mouths, his 100 mouths. And seeing this situation, the wives of the Kali serpent rose, and while Krishna's dancing, they started offering prayers. That's what you've been hearing in the previous verses. And the prayers are basically in groups of 3. 1, you're punishing him is appropriate. What he has done is punishable. So we have no objection. 2, they then describe the nature of Krishna. Fantastic prayers. And one of the big parts of their prayers is, within Krishna is everything, because he's the source of everything. So within that which is the source of everything, there's apparent contradictions. He walked like the Upanishads say. So they weren't Upanishadi ladies, but he walks and he does not walk. He's within everything. He's outside of everything. He's very near. He's very far away at the same time. So that kind of Upanishad double talk was how he is the source of everything, but doesn't become touched at all by the modes of material nature, that everything that comes from him, and so forth and so on. We mentioned it yesterday evening a little bit. The prayers of Prahlad has similar statements, different but similar. That was the second part. They're addressing what you have done is proper. He is to be punished. Second, who are you? You're the abode of all contradictions. You're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're very clear. Third part, because of this contradiction capacity that you have, while punishing him, please save him. please be merciful. And his dancing was merciful because they expressed, by purifying him in this way, he's become, all his contamination is gone. His heads are smashed, but all his contamination is gone. And he's now your pure devotee. So you're very kind to your pure devotees. So please be kind to our husband. And kind of like a second and third wrong part of all of that, we just touched on the verses here. We're ladies, and as ladies we're dependent upon our husband. And as bad as he was, he's no longer bad, and he is our place of shelter. And what will happen if you continue punishing him? He'll die. He was already at the cusp of death. You dance a few more times, he's finished. So please don't finish him. Release him. Because Krishna is still on the hoods as they're offering their prayers. And then their prayers finished. They want the release of their husband. Natural. And they're right, because he's become purified. Yes, he's done abominable things, fit to be punished, but now purified. And that was part of Krishna's purpose. It's a really fantastic pastime in the sense that, in contrast to many of Krishna's childhood pastimes, he killed demons, but he didn't kill. He purified. In a very amazing way. But there must have been something that Krishna saw within Kalya that doesn't, I haven't found it. The reason that Krishna didn't kill him was he saw something, that something was worthy of being purified. So anyway, he didn't kill him, but he purified him. So now comes, his wives have finished, Krishna got down, and Krishna's looking at Kalya, smashed hoods, the wives of Kalya. And he decides to speak. And the speaking, compared to his wife's prayers, which are very elevated and elegant and highly intellectual, he's not able to do that because of his circumstance. So at least Sanatana Goswami says he just basically paraphrased things that his wives already said. Yes, I'm fit to be punished. Please excuse me. You're very kind. You're the abode of all contradictions. Although it's the same thing, I'm fit to be punished and so forth. But please spare me. Then it's Krishna's turn that comes to the comic attractions. Krishna speaks. And he, a number of things he says, we'll let you get there when you get there. But he places a condition upon relieving him from being further punished. And the wives of the Kaliya serpents say, whatever you say, we'll do whatever you say. So Krishna's condition is leave. There's a nice painting. Get out of town. Leave, because this lake, this river Jamuna, is meant for the residents of Vrindavan and the cows and my dear devotees. And your presence here has spoiled all of that, so please leave. And take all your wives and your family members and your whole caboodle. Go to where he came from, because Krishna knows where he came from. Kalya knows where he came from. There's a detail It's an important detail. It comes at the end of the chapter. Don't worry about going back to where you came from, because you left from where you came because of fear of Garuda. But now that I have purified you by touching your hoods, Garuda won't bother you. He won't eat you. He'll see the marks of my lotus feet upon your hoods. So he'll be kind to you. Don't worry. You have nothing to worry about. Masucha. And that's how the whole pastime ends. So he goes back. Then the further is how he got there in the first place. And that's also the beginning of chapter 17. So the 2 points. The main point is that this pastime is filled with rasa. What is there? Is there another pastime where instead of the devotees, the Brajvasis are in difficulty, they turn to Krishna? This is a role reversal. Krishna is in difficulty. So what are they going to do? So it's the purpose of that drama or lila is to stimulate love. So their love for Krishna in the situation of difficulty skyrocketed. Very intense feelings. You know, when the residents, the elders, they fainted. But what are you going to do? Because Krishna is our life and soul. It's just like too much. They're too much. So, increasing of love through the circumstance, the difficulties, and then experiencing different rasas. And then another very important item is something that Kaliya says. I'm like this because I was born like this. I have a body of a serpent, and serpents are envious. And I've tried to overcome my envy, but I haven't been able to overcome my envy. It's only possible by you to relieve me of this contamination. You did it, thank you. So the message is, same as the Damodar Lila, that is, effort and mercy are both needed. Mercy is definitely needed. It's a key element, because he says, I couldn't have done this on my own. I was trying. I was making effort. But your mercy is because you're all merciful. You did the right thing. You smashed me. And by smashing me, I became purified. Thank you. So purification requires both effort and mercy. Like Mother Yasoda trying to bind Krishna. The effort, and it wasn't working. But then Krishna extended his mercy so she could bind him, without which Krishna doesn't want, nothing's going to happen. If Krishna permits, then it can happen. Anything. And that's a key lesson, along with the previous one. So fantastic Lila. And on the one hand, a talking serpent that has many wives, and the whole thing. The scenario is quite like, oh really? What mythology are you people into? So it's a little bit, on the one hand, the story may seem to an empiricist a little unbelievable. But the devotees, it's just one of Krishna's pastimes. And in the past, and the pastimes of Vrindavan are so filled with rasa, very sweet rasa. Although it seems horrible. Krishna's in difficulty. And so, therefore, the second lesson is, it's very relatable. Although, relatable in the sense, speaking of the pastime itself, is like too much. But that those in the material world, anyone who takes birth in the material world, there are two forces that bring us to the material world. Isha and Dvesha, desire and hate, or envy, Dvesha. And so who doesn't have Dvesha? Everyone has, because we're in the material world. And how to get out of that Dvesha, because we're born with it, and lifetime after lifetime is there, in different degrees, in different ways, and so forth. It's not possible to become relieved, other than mercy, effort and mercy. So that's, during this discussion we had before, 2 weeks ago, the comments were this pastime is very relatable. Could you explain how it's relatable? That's why. Those things that we wish to overcome, our shortcomings or contaminations, or in this case specifically envy, how to overcome it. Effort and mercy. And without the strong dose of mercy, it's not going to happen. So when that strong dose of mercy comes, don't complain. Although it may be uncomfortable having Krishna dance on your heads. There's an extensive description of the merit of the dust of the feet from Krishna. Okay. Nice pastime. And it's a long chapter too. Let's just see if there's some discussion. Nice to have a whole panorama of a particular pastime, meaningful pastime. Yeah.
It's not a, first I want to know I didn't know about the Nagapatni, how they got this devotion towards the Lord Krishna.
I've been unable to find the answer to that question. It's a natural question. Who was their teacher? What school did they go to?
And then another question, this is text 28, talking about the Kaliya's 100 heads,
Yeah.
and text 30, going to talking about the 1,000 heads. That is also I am confused with the Acharya what is saying about that.
There's a similar pastime that there's a similar pastime with how long was Lord Brahma undergoing austerities. In one verse, it says 100. The very next verse, it says thousands. Now, how do you reconcile? Because it's not just an apparent contradiction, it's a contradiction.
I'm just confused.
Your confusion is well placed. Either is fine.
And another thing, mercy, that Ahituki mercy comes from the Lord. Without mercy, we cannot do anything. And then, what is the purpose of being candidate for that? Being practicing the...
How to become eligible? Well, you know the answer, but I'll remind you what you already know. Mercy, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Madhurya Kandamani. He's exploring how does bhakti begin. So that's mercy. By the mercy of a devotee, you get bhakti. But that would sound like some people have, some people don't have. So it's whimsical. Favoritism, some people have, some people don't have. And so the Lord's then partial. So the answer to that one is, the Bhagavan invests in the Madhyama the capacity to deliver bhakti. And the Madhyama is enjoined the four categories. The Supreme Lord, the devotee, the innocent, so they give to the innocent. And that they're doing what they're supposed to do, and the Lord is not partial. Now, as that's true for bhakti, it's also any other form, any form at all of mercy. You know, what causes mercy? There's no cause, because it's causeless. Then it sounds like, you know, some people get causeless mercy and some people don't get causeless mercy. Sounds like. But then the answer to that question is, like the sun is always shining, or the rain falls everywhere. It falls back in the sea, it falls on rocks, it falls on fertile soil, it falls everywhere, no discrimination. But when there's fertile soil, then there's some effect. Or when it's not under the clouds, or under a rock, or indoors, then they can experience and benefit from the light of the sun. So then it comes agyata sukriti. To make the ground fertile, or to make the wood into dry wood from instead of wet wood, it's the benefit that goes to a person who unknowingly engages in some beneficial activity of devotional service. Here's a nice example, just to illustrate this. One of the things that Prabhupada did in London, he went for morning walks everywhere. He would sometimes go in a public street. And when going on a public street, people would notice an elderly sannyasi, who is this person? So Prabhupada would see people, and then he would, because these Britishers are a little common, they greet one another. So he would say, "Hello, good morning." And so many times the devotees ask, "How come you don't say Hare Krishna?" Thinking that by their hearing Hare Krishna from the lips of a pure devotee, they get enormous benefit. That's how the devotees were thinking. Prabhupada was thinking slightly differently. He said, if I say Hare Krishna, they'll think that I'm a sectarian fellow. But if I say hello, good morning, they reply, hello, good morning. And their devotional service has begun. So, agyata sukriti. Because Prabhupada's, because of Prabhupada's stature as a pure devotee. So in contact with a pure devotee, unknowingly, this way, that way, the other way. Or unknowingly taking prasadam, or unknowingly something. Like, Ajamila, and unintentionally saying Narayana, or Haram, or any of these other examples where not purposely, but unknowingly doing something. Therefore, we value prasadam distribution and public chanting, and people are going out to do their whatever it is, and they meet the Harinam party. Agyata sukriti. Their devotional service has begun.
That means everything depends on the Lord.
Yeah, but the sun is shining. And the Lord is being merciful. And even in a dark place, particularly for the stage of Kali, it is enjoined to perform Sankirtan. So when somebody does that in different ways, then the mercy is being extended because yes, it's the will of the Lord, but it's for everybody. And some people are disturbed by public chanting or something, or criticized or something.
Yeah, just comparing the thoughts that Brahman is saying Tattenu Kampasu Nashimano, and then causeless mercy that
Yeah.
comparing the
Yeah, I understand what you're doing. Yeah. But it's the situation by mercy. There's no cause for that mercy other than the nature of the Supreme as He's merciful. So by His being merciful and someone being recipient of that mercy somehow, just like the lights of the sun, then that's the beginning of experiencing the mercy of the personal Godhead. Little by little by little, it accumulates to the point where one says yes when there's invitation to engage voluntary service. It's like, just some practical example. Sometimes people aren't sadhakas, but they like to do a little service, whatever that might be. Wash the pots, clean the bathrooms, or something. Take out the garbage, or something. Just not because they're thinking this is devotional service, or just service-minded people. And so service-minded people coming into contact with Krishna, then they want to help serve prasadam, or they want to help something. And agyata sukriti, you get mercy that way. A material tendency connected to Krishna, or a devotee of Krishna. Material tendency connected to a devotee of Krishna equals agyata sukriti. Anything else? Yeah?
This this pastime happened in Burma, Vrindavan, 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
But these pastimes in Vrindavan eternally happening. All these pastimes again repeat, or is it?
You want to know how it happens again and again eternally?
Yes.
That's what your question is? Two things. This is more directly the response to your question. When Krishna departs, He simply withdraws visible prakat and aprakat. So the pastimes are going on aprakat all the time, eternally. And there are souls that are very spiritually elevated, and they have the privilege and capacity to experience them. And they describe them. Not as an experience, as like a dream or a vision or something, but they experience it in the past, eternally. Going on. And then another understanding is, as Krishna completes his pastimes, another universe, his pastimes are going on, the same pastimes. So that way, in a second sense, the pastimes are eternal. There's a prakat features going on somewhere.
Like each universe there is a Vrindavan.
Yes. Why not? There's an embassy.
When this universe is destroyed and the Brahma's life is finished,
That remains. An aprakat condition, but it remains. And then at a certain point in time it becomes prakat. The place that the spiritual potency is there always because it's spiritually powerful. Yeah.
so the Navadvip is also same.
Huh?
Navadvip is also same.
Same. The holy dhams, the abodes of the Lord's pastimes.
Navadvip is in Golok Vrindavan.
Huh?
Navadvip is in Golok Vrindavan.
Yeah. It's called Svetadvip. Right in Sri Brahma Samhita, and Bhakti Siddhanta explains it. One quadrant, there's language in Brahma Samhita, one section, a portion of Goloka is Navadvipa, known as Svetadvipa. Okay?
The question is like now these pastimes going on in the spiritual world and Goloka down. Same time Krishna's pastime is also going on.
Yes.
And these personalities, those covered boys, they are in the both pastimes.
No problem.
They expand.
Yes. We had this discussion in relation to, well, it came up in relation to Bhishma Dev. Because in Mahabharata, it says Bhishma Dev returned to the celestial realm, the realm of the Vasus. The Bhagavatam is very clear. He's an eternal associate of Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha, and that's where he went. So there's two, can Jiva exist in two places at the same time? And so the answer is, according to Brihat Bhagavatamrita, when Narada explains to Gopal Kumar, you've seen me in many places, right? That's because I exist in many places simultaneously. Now, it's not like the jiva has become divided, but it's a spiritual potency by which Narada and Lord Brahma and Jiva can exist simultaneously in multiple places. The explanation specifically is for the purpose of Krishna's pastimes. For his pleasure, we are manifest in different places. I, Narada, manifest in different places. By the will of Krishna, is there something that can't happen? Everything can happen. So yes, there are these multiple abodes by Krishna's potency. Prakat or aprakat. It's mind-blowing or mind-boggling because there isn't something material that's quite like it.